Tonight, the Saudi-led coalition carries out the heaviest airstrikes in Yemen since the expiration of a 5-day truce, and the World Food Programme says it has only delivered half its proposed aid. Iraqi security forces and Shiite militia deployed tanks and artillery around Ramadi after failing to Daesh, while thousands of local residents flee the city and head to the capital, Baghdad. And Britain's Prince Charles shakes hands with Sinn Féin leader for the first time in Ireland in a historic meeting, the latest in a series of gestures of reconciliation. Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. The Saudi-led coalition carried out the heaviest airstrikes near the Yemeni capital since the expiration of a 5-day truce with Houthi rebels, hitting weapons depots in the mountains surrounding Sana'a and shaking several residential areas. The Saudi-led coalition has repeatedly struck the two sites in the mountains since launching the air campaign against the Houthis, but today's assault was the heaviest. Elsewhere in Yemen, missiles hit several Houthi positions in their stronghold in the northern province of Sa'da, Hajja, Ib, Taz, the southern city of Aden, and in the eastern province of Marib. Airstrikes also targeted the house of ousted President Ali Abdullah Saleh, flattening it. In response to the latest airstrikes, the Houthi fired Katyusha rockets at the Saudi border region of Najran from rocket launchers in their stronghold of Sa'da. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme said it had only delivered half its proposed aid during the ceasefire in Yemen and demanded breaks in the conflict for further humanitarian assistance. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said that Yemen's conflict had so far left 1,849 people dead, more than 7,000 people wounded, and another 500,000 displaced. Besides food and medicine, Yemenis were also deprived of fuel.
This is compounding a lot of existing difficulties. It's pushing up prices. It's making it difficult for people to get about. The amount of fuel we were able to bring in is really only a drop in the ocean of needs. Approximately 10% of the amount of fuel needed in the space of a month. So you can see there's significant need to get more in.
Iraqi security forces deployed tanks and artillery around Ramadi to confront Daesh, who have captured the city in a major defeat for the Baghdad government and the Western backers. Shiite militia allied to the Iraqi army are preparing for a counterattack on the city. As pressure mounted for action to retake the city, government officials are urging Ramadi residents to join the police and army for what is being called the Battle for Anbar. This report has more.
Close to 25,000 residents of the Iraqi city of Ramadi have fled since the city fell into the hands of Daesh, and scores are continuing to escape, heading towards the capital, Baghdad. The UN and other aid agencies have begun distributing food, water, and medical supplies. However, funds for aid operations in Iraq are running out, and the aid stocks are almost gone. Many are now without food or water and stranded in the desert in Anbar province.
We have been in the desert for 4 days now, and we call on the government to open the way for us to flee. Most of the children are suffering from diarrhea. What is the guilt of the people? We call on the government to find a solution.
The terrorists tightened their grip on the city, flying black flags on key buildings and setting free prisoners in a drive to win the support of local residents. Witnesses in Ramadi said Daesh had set up defense positions and laid landmines, and were also going from house to house in search of members of the police and armed forces. After a search and rescue operation, Iraq's Ministry of Defense released aerial pictures of more than 20 soldiers being pulled out of Ramadi yesterday, but most other army troops managed to retreat from the city, a marked blow to the Iraqi army in their fight against Daesh. One soldier blamed the police forces for abandoning their posts in different parts of the city and allowing the Daesh terrorists to take over.
There is treason. Police are abandoning positions one area after another. We retreated to Al-Mala'ib area, but it fell at midnight. Mshehde, Sijaria and Juwaybi were captured, and they advanced to Khaldiyah.
To help in the fighting, some 3,000 Shiite militias are now massing to try and take back the city, a move that analysts and U.S. officials fear could unleash more sectarian bloodshed. But the government of Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi, with an army that is still in its infancy, appears to have few options, despite months of U.S.-led airstrikes and military advice. Nancy Khair for the news at 10.
And in Syria, insurgents, including Al-Qaeda's local affiliate, seized the army's largest remaining military base in northern western Idlib province. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said Syrian troops withdrew from Mastuma military base after heavy clashes erupted. The loss of Mastuma base leaves only a few positions in the province in the government's hands. Elsewhere, Daesh terrorists attacked a village in the Druze heartland of southern Syria, killing 6 people. And to the north, fighting between Daesh and government forces continued outside the historic town of Palmyra. Meanwhile, the United States and its allies conducted 21 airstrikes over the past 24 hours, targeting Daesh terrorists in Iraq and Syria. In Iraq, 4 airstrikes destroyed vehicles and an excavator near Ramadi, while another 10 strikes hit near Biji, Sinjar, Fallujah, and other towns. And in Syria, 7 airstrikes near Al-Hasakeh destroyed vehicles, fighting positions, and a shipping container. A royal decree was issued summoning Parliament to meet in an extraordinary session as of June 1st to pass some dozen draft laws, including the Crown Prince Hussein Foundation draft law, legislation on decentralization, municipalities, and political parties. Among the key proposed legislation, too, is the amended Independent Election Commission law, the standards and metrology and the integrity in anti-graft legislation, as well as the lower house rule of procedure and code of conduct draft. A royal decree was issued appointing Salame Hamad as the Interior Minister under Article 35 of the Constitution and upon the recommendation of Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour. Hamad replaced Hussein al-Majali, who resigned on Sunday. Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour said energy is one of the most important challenges facing Jordan, noting that power and infrastructure are key factors to promote production capacity, manufacturing, domestic and foreign trade, and investment and sustainable growth. Mansour's remark came during the opening of Jordan's International Energy Summit, organized by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. The 2-day event will discuss energy challenges relevant to solutions as well as investment opportunities in the sector. Acknowledging that energy security is an immediate challenge, Mansour noted that Jordan's energy dependence makes us vulnerable through heavy reliance on fuel and gas imports. Mansour said Jordan is working actively to implement and update its National Energy Strategy 2007 to 2020. Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources said Jordan imports around 97% of its energy needs, equivalent to nearly 18% of gross domestic product in 2014. Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour met a delegation of the China Railway Oriental International Construction Company and discussed the prospect for the leading global firm to carry out Jordan's national railway project. During the meeting, Mansour was briefed on the project being carried out by the Chinese firm, as well as plans to expand its investment and opportunities in the kingdom. The delegation is visiting to familiarize with the Jordanian investment environment and opportunities available, including the conditions of investment in mega projects such as the National Railway venture. They are also due to discuss the terms of launching an industrial zone for Chinese companies to attract export industries and also look into prospect of setting up an auto factory in Jordan. The World Economic Forum on the Middle East and North Africa kicks off on the shores of the Dead Sea in 2 days with the full support of His Majesty King Abdullah. Convening under the theme Creating a Regional Framework for Prosperity and Peace through Public-Private Cooperation, this year's meeting marks the forum's 9th gathering in Jordan and the 16th meeting in the region. Some 800 business and political leaders, as well as representatives of civil society, international organizations, and youth from over 50 countries are expected to attend. Speaking at a press conference to set the context of the next 2 days, Minister of Planning and International Cooperation, Chairperson of King Abdullah II Fund for Development, Imad Fakhouri, said the forum provides a platform to showcase Jordan's economic potential. He added that a special session will be held at the forum that kicks off a campaign to revitalize the country's economy. For his part, Senior Director, Head of Middle East and North Africa at the World Economic Forum, Miroslav Dusek, said the forum was returning to Jordan given its unique international role.
There is a special session within, also attended and under the patronage of His Majesty within this WEF, which is a Jordan relaunched towards advancing growth and development for Jordan. It's a series of sessions focusing on the investment opportunities in Jordan, relaunching the economic potential of Jordan, especially after the adoption and the launch of the Jordan 2025. There will be announcements by different government ministries on certain transactions, deals, investment opportunities, agreements that will be signed, MOUs, that will show focus on the different sectors that Jordan is promoting or attracting investments in. And obviously Jordan uses the forum to promote itself as a regional destination, to present Arab views to the international community, to present the cases, the key issues that face the Middle East at this current period in time. Jordan will present not only the opportunities but also the challenges we face at the regional level and ways to mitigate, and the importance of engaging the international community so they help Jordan in mitigating the burdens we face.
We are coming here because in light of what is happening in the region and what the international community and an average citizen outside this region can see, we believe that there's an imperative to come here to support countries like Jordan that are committed to a constructive, forward-looking agenda. So we're not naive about the geopolitical landscape and some of the crises that we see in Syria, in Yemen, in Libya, in Iraq. At the same time, we believe that this is an imperative for us to be here with the Davos international business community to support countries that have their economic, social and political aspirations, constructive ones.
Her Majesty Queen Rania called on the Healthy Kitchen project at Al-Ma'muniyya Al-Gharibiyya Secondary School in Madaba. The project is implemented by the Royal Health Awareness Associations in collaboration with the World Food Programme. Her Majesty was briefed on the program and its goals, as well as the positive outcomes of the program, including the notable changes in students' attitudes. During a meeting with the stakeholders, Queen Rania highlighted the importance of reviewing the challenges faced to study the feasibility of expansion and increasing the program's reach to more schools. The number of benefiting schools stands at 10, while the number of students receiving daily meals reached 2,300 students. Queen Rania later stopped by a third-grade classroom to check the healthy food packages given to students and attended a lesson on healthy eating habits. Britain's Prince Charles shook hands with Gerry Adams in a first meeting with the leader of the former political wing of the Irish Republican Army, which killed his great-uncle in a bomb attack 36 years ago. Prince Charles became the first British royal to meet with Gerry Adams on a historic visit to Ireland aimed at promoting peace and reconciliation. Charles and his wife Camilla arrived in the western city of Galway for the start of a two-day visit to the Republic of Ireland and the neighbouring British territory of Northern Ireland. The meeting is the latest in a series of gestures of reconciliation between Britain and Sinn Féin. Adams said the visit was an opportunity to promote reconciliation.
I'm very mindful, just reflecting as we come to meet later, of the bereavement suffered by Charles's family and by the Maxwell family. There's been a lot of hurt, and thankfully all of that in conflict is behind us, but the hurt isn't behind us, and I'd like to think that today's engagement will be a symbolic but also a practical step of facing into the future.
And Switzerland emerald and diamond bangle was the highlight of Christie's jewelry in Hong Kong, with the auction house saying it is the largest emerald of its kind ever to come up at auction. The 38.51 carat Colombian emerald has no oil added and the color has not been enhanced in any way. Another highlight was a Burmese no-heat pigeon's blood ruby necklace of 120 carats, expected to fetch up to $11 million. The jewelry auction will also feature several jade items from the family of the 75th generation descendant of Confucius. Switzerland's Bernhard Hung and Tony's Balbi of France set off to climb 7 alpine peaks within 24 hours. Their plan was to set off just after midnight and ski, then climb to the summit. They decided to climb the mountain in an order that minimized the length of their journey and the height that they had to ascend, and included some mountains lower than 4,000 meters in order to reach the highest peak. They calculated their journey was 65 kilometers in length and with an ascent of 7,000 meters in all. A brave rally driver successfully finished his race in Poland's Dąbrówno despite having lost his steering wheel during the ride. A video uploaded into a social media website showed the car's steering wheel unexpectedly became detached while the driver was making a turn as the race was underway. After briefly stopping the vehicle, the driver continued the race by manually directing the car without a steering wheel. As the racing car approached the finish line, the driver waved the steering wheel and completed his race. And finally, a quick look at the weather forecast. Moderate conditions prevail in most regions tonight with southwesterly light to moderate winds. Though a slight drop in temperature is expected tomorrow, it will remain hot with temperatures 4 to 5 degrees above their seasonal average. Winds will be southwesterly moderate to brisk, picking up at times. Further south, the Gulf of Aqaba should no doubt expect hotter and drier conditions, while winds will be northerly moderate and the seas calm. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to end the news, is a recap of our top stories. The Saudi-led coalition carries out the heaviest airstrikes in Yemen since the expiration of a 5-day truce, and the World Food Programme says it has only delivered half its proposed aid. Iraqi security forces and Shiite militia deployed tanks and artillery around Ramadi after failing to Daesh, while thousands of local residents flee the city and head to the capital, Baghdad. And Britain's Prince Charles shakes hands with Sinn Féin leader for the first time in Ireland in a historic meeting, the latest in a series of gestures of reconciliation. And with this we come to an end. I'm Farah Ajlouni. Thank you for watching and have a good night.